Hi.
Yeah, tell me the picture.
Hey, Coco. Okay, well, there's Coco. All right, here's Coco. She had to get in the shot. All right, there you go. Okay, she's out of here. Hi, my name's Kirk Walper. I grew up in central Alberta, small town, Hanna, farming community. Hanna's known for the Canada Grey. We have a giant grey goose at the entrance to the town. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's east central Alberta. I grew up on a farm 30 miles from Hanna, so we were really out in the middle of nowhere. My parents are Eric and Faye. I'm the middle sibling with two sisters. My older sister is Melanie, younger sister is Leanne. Growing up on the farm, we spent a lot of time together as a family. We had a lot of fun. Family traditions, holidays, getting together, birthdays were all a big part of growing up. Our farm was a mixed farm. We had both cattle and grain, so there was always something to do. And getting up early, working late, that was just the way that it was. And I would get home from school, go out and work, help my dad, go out on the tractor. From a very young age, I spent a lot of time together with my dad, and we were always fixing things and working, building fence, working with cattle, checking the cows. It was endless, but it was a great life, and I enjoyed growing up where I did. It was a very strong sense of community where I grew up. Our neighbors were very close. It was always nice. If you needed something, you could always go to a neighbor and get what you were looking for. I remember Mom, she was baking, sometimes run out of sugar or eggs. We would just go to the neighbors and get some and then return the favor the next time. Growing up, my grandparents were around a lot, especially my dad's dad. He was always out on the farm helping us. And I remember Grandpa was always there. He was happy. When things were going good, he was always around. And then when things were not going good, you couldn't find him. So if there was a breakdown or the cows got out or something bad was happening, Grandpa wasn't there for those memories. But whenever it was good times and we were laughing, Grandpa was there. One of the memories is just eating meals out in the field. My mom used to make the best meals. They tasted the best when you were hungry after a hard day's work. There were lots of times sitting on the tailgate of a truck. You know, the combines are going, and so that was a lot of fun. Growing up, I played sports. My parents were like the best fans a kid could have growing up. They attended every game. I don't ever remember them missing a game. So that was really nice and always something that I wanted to do for my kids as well. Growing up in high school, after getting a driver's license, cruising Main Street, that was a big deal. A lot of miles were put on. I enjoyed that, burned a lot of fuel. That was just what we did when there was nothing else to do. We cruised Maine. As a kid, I'd always just thought I would be a farmer and I would take over the farm. That was just what you did. But my parents felt it was important that I should go get some secondary education. So when I graduated from high school, I went to SAIT in Calgary. I studied finance there, got a 2-year diploma. One of the big changes that happened while I was away in those first 2 years was my parents had made the decision to sell the farm. So by the time I had graduated from SAIT, they had sold. So this had changed the plans. I was no longer going to go back and take over the farm. So I decided to continue on with my education to get a degree. So I transferred to the University of Lethbridge and got a Bachelor of Management, major in finance degree. So I graduated from university in 2001, and this was a year after the dot-com financial bubble burst that had happened at that time. And there really weren't that many job prospects when I finished university. In the summers when I was going to university, I worked for a landscaping company in Red Deer, and I became friends with the owners. And that year that I graduated, him and his wife had decided that they wanted to move back to Newfoundland, where they were from. And so they had these contracts that were existing for landscaping. And because I didn't have any other job prospects, I started landscaping. So I ended up, got a Bobcat and a trailer, and I had a truck, and I went into business, which was awesome. That first summer, I hired a couple of friends and we worked together. We were landscaping mostly new homes and worked with some builders. So we did really well, and one of my first goals was to buy a house. And we had done really well, and I had made enough money already by August of that season for a down payment on a brand new house. So that was a big milestone for me and definitely got me into the real estate game. I was always interested in growing wealth. I just bought this new house and was living in Red Deer, was landscaping, and we had a bit of a housewarming party. It was something that My family always did, and we had folding lawn chairs in the living room. That was what we started with for furniture. I had a couple of roommates, and one of my roommates' girlfriend's best friend is actually who is now my wife. And I remember sitting there, we were having a few beers and just hanging out at the house, had friends over, and this little red Honda Civic pulls up outside and caught my eye. And then this girl, blonde, she gets out of the car, and I think, oh, she must be going to one of the neighbors. And anyways, she wasn't. She came up to the house and rang the doorbell. I went down and answered the door, and I guess the rest you could say is history. Love at first sight. That was 2001 when we met. We were married 2 years after, in 2003 in Red Deer. Started a family, we now have 2 kids, Austin and Lexi. Growing up as a family, we've had a lot of fun together. I had the landscaping business right out of university, and which was fantastic until November rolled around and it froze and snowed, so there wasn't much landscaping to be done. And at the time, my parents actually were both selling real estate. Dad suggested, why don't you get your real estate license through the winter and you can go back to landscaping in the spring. So that's exactly what I did. I studied, I passed, and started selling real estate right away, and never did go back to landscaping. It was real estate from then on. How did we end up on Vancouver Island? That's a big, I guess, a story in itself. And it was a big life-changing decision. Jacqueline and I, we loved the island, we'd vacationed here. We had just thought that if we ever moved anywhere, that's where we would go. We liked the lifestyle, the beaches, the scenery, just felt like the place for us. 2009, we decided that we wanted to start making steps to move to Parksville. We made it happen in 2010. We'd sold our properties, and our kids were still young. Austin was 7, and Lexi would have been 4 at the time that we made the move. And we also knew that both of our parents had wanted to retire on the island near Parksville. So we figured if we wanted to maintain a close relationship with them, that if we moved there, that they would definitely follow. And that's exactly what happened. So now we live in Parksville. My parents live here. Jacqueline's parents also live here. And so the family's together. We have a lot of family events, and now it's all the birthday parties, get-togethers, nights around the fire, trips to the lake. We're just one big happy family. The transition was actually quite easy. We found immediately that Parksville was just a really supportive community. Everybody was happy. People lived there all for the same reason. They lived there because that's where they wanted to live. As the kids grew up, I also wanted to be involved in their sports. I coached Austin in baseball and hockey, and then also coached Lexi softball. There weren't many games that we would miss. And getting to know people in the community, I also volunteered for community associations. So it was just giving back, similar to what I had received. The part of real estate that I enjoy most is working through the deal, so negotiating when an offer comes in, negotiating with the other party, really trying to find a common ground so everybody's happy. That's the best. Also, it's always fun to make that phone call, calling a client and letting them know that their offer was accepted. I love doing that. It's a high point that we're always working towards. The process and moving through, and what really makes it successful for them, is to be able to stay calm, stay goal-focused on achieving the result, whether that's selling their home within a certain period of time, pricing the home appropriately, really managing their expectations and emotions. It's a big decision. There's a lot of moving parts, and I think handling all those details and looking after that portion is important to me. So when I'm not selling real estate, what am I doing? Well, one of my most favorite things to do is to take something that was nice that's no longer nice and then make it nice again. So houses, we've bought and renovated a number of properties. We do that on our own property. Cars, I definitely love cars. And Jacqueline's parents have a houseboat out on Lake Cowichan, and when it's nice out, that is the place to be. We love it there. We've got the sea-doos, campfires, making s'mores, barbecues. Yeah, it's fantastic.